I knew Erika about 6 weeks when I was caught by the Gestapo. I went out in order to swap some food, and I was confronted by about 3 civilians, which turned out to be Gestapo. As I turned, there were another 2 in the back of me. Later on, it turned out to be one of them was a Greifer Goldstein, who was a Jew. The others were all Gestapo people. I kept on insisting my name is Carl Schmidt, at which time they opened the door and a friend of mine came in, whose name is Henry Atlas, who immediately shouted, "Isma, did they catch you too?"
Henry Atlas and his brother Horst were friends of Ismar's, who had been captured in the same week as him.
The Gestapo tried to use any kind of force in order to make me talk, asking where my mother was. They obviously hit me in order to find out more, and even brought in a fellow that they had pretty well devastated before, and they hit him some more so that the man died, and used that as a tool to tell me, listen, if you don't talk, the same thing will happen to you. And I told him, there's nothing I can help you with, so therefore you do what you have to do. I can only die one way. There's only one death for every one person, so it was a toss-up. Do I die there, or am I sent to my death?
Here at Grunewald Station, all captured Berlin Jews were loaded on the trains for the concentration camps.
On the 10th of September, we were herded together. There were a whole bunch, I don't recall how many, soldiers in gray uniforms with the SS insignia, the dead head on their cap. The officer held a speech that nobody will escape and that they will bring the entire transport to Auschwitz.
By autumn 1943, over 4 million Jews had been killed by the Nazis.
This is my transport here. The 10th of September is so obviously 50 people perished. Yeah. Can you take a picture? Once we got settled in our section on the left side of the train, I told Henry and Horst that I had smuggled through some tools and that I would try to see if I can possibly get an opening so that we can escape. We then clustered around one another to shelter us from the other people, because in all probability, and I don't think I assume incorrectly, the other people would have denounced us. I then started to drill some holes into the side of the wagon. The tools that I used for the escape were this hand drill, with which I created holes in a downward fashion, drilling one hole, then the next hole, then the next hole, the next hole, until I had sufficient room to use this metal saw blade.
With the tools he had smuggled from the Gestapo prison, Ismar started to cut through the 3-inch thick walls of the cattle truck.
We started to sing nostalgic songs very, very loudly to overdrone the noise of the saw. We kept on singing, and people were complaining. This little baby was crying, and people were just saying, "Are you completely out of your mind to sing while we are going into our death?"
It took 6 hours to cut a hole big enough to jump through.
The first one that jumped out was Henry. The second one was Horst. When I jumped out, I had pretty much mentally prepared myself to jump away from the train in order not to be crushed under the wheels. I jumped, I fell flat on my belly. I picked up my head and I saw the red lights of the back of the train quite a distance away and felt relieved. It worked. From what I learned after the war is that entire transport went right into the gas chamber, including a 1-year-old child.
By September 1943, the secret Jews who had survived in Berlin had been in hiding for 7 months. Once Ismar jumped from the Auschwitz train, he made his way back here. Now the Gestapo had his name, he was in even greater danger. He and his mother were taken in by his girlfriend Erika's family.
Erika, who was a very kind-hearted woman, said, "I'll take you with me and you will stay with my parents." I did not go out at all any longer because I didn't need to fend for food. The father bought the extra food on the black market for us. And I was anyway deathly afraid to be outside because the Gestapo was then looking for me, specifically looking for me. It was not anymore a global find a Jew, but it was find the escaped Jew.
Ismar was trapped in Erika's father's house. When danger threatened, he and his mother hid in a 2-foot gap behind a false wall. A few months later, the situation grew even more difficult.
Erika came one day and told me that she's expecting. And I was very, very, very surprised and, of course, devastated. I felt extremely worried what's going to happen. If they find out that we had a child together and that he is partly Jewish, not only I, but she, her whole family, and everybody else would be killed. Erica's child, my son, was born in October 1944.
By the autumn of 1944, the Germans were losing the war. The push to exterminate the Jews seemed to grow stronger. Berlin's half-Jews had been allowed to survive the final roundup, but the Gestapo took any opportunity to send them to the camps. When Ika injured her arm and couldn't work, she too was in danger.
Wir sind hier in dem Haus, wo die Parteizentrale war und wo ich vorgeladen wurde. Er hat mich damals unterhalten und da hat der gesagt zu mir, dass ich wegen meines Armes, der nicht geheilt ist, zur Heilbehandlung weggeschickt werde und dann wird das besser. Und als er das sagte, war mir klar, dass ich nach Auschwitz komme. Denn es wurde allen erzählt, die sie abgeholt haben, immer irgendwas, du bist gesund werden und armer, weiß nicht was. Ja? Und war so ein großer, stattlicher Mann. Aber stattliche Männer sind ja leider Gottes immer feige. Und als die Sirene ging, war Fliegeralarm, die Sirene ging, da ist er gerannt. Und zwar in den Luftschutzkeller, da drüben ist er. Das war für mich die Gelegenheit, alle Papiere, die auf seinem Schreibtisch lagen, einfach mitzunehmen. Und dann bin ich nach Hause gerannt während des Alarms zu meiner Mutti und habe gesagt, Mutti, so und so ist es, ich muss weg. Sache, das Alarm kam. Also für mich war der Fliegeralarm eine Erlösung.